So when you're starting out on your MEM dashboard, you're just going to come on into your My Easy Monogram app to get started. If you go over to the products on the left-hand toolbar, you'll see there's a section for Design Studio products. This is where the new Design Studio is. So if you click on Custom Steel Wall Decor, anything that you create for your custom designs is going to populate in this section here. So you can scroll through and see all of your current products. If you're creating a new custom design product, you're just going to go ahead and click Create New. And my internet has been lagging today, so bear with me here. And then you're going to click Create Design. So once you're in here, this is the Design Studio. This is your artboard for creating your design. You have your options on the left-hand side here. You can also click, for example, the Help button, and that's going to take you to the article. This is a great resource. This has an outline.
You just everybody's good, okay?
If I can,
you do you and let everyone else clean up after.
Let me mute everyone here. I'm not seeing the option to mute everybody. If you can just mute yourself, just so there's no overlaying sound here. This is a great resource. This has all of the guidelines to creating your custom designs here. So I encourage you to take a look at this. There's some key elements that you'll want to focus on in the article here for making sure that you have everything sized properly. It walks you through the best size for creating your artboard and whatnot. So definitely check that out before you get started. So we're going to start here by going to images. You can upload a new image here. All images is going to show you images that are shared. So you can check that out as well. For this, I'm just going to go ahead and just pull up a random image here just to give you an example here. So when you click the image, you're going to want to go ahead and size that to the artboard appropriately. You can use the align option at the top to make sure that it's aligned middle and center. And then from there, if you just click on text, if you go, you can upload your own font here. There are instructions in the articles for that as well. But you can go to all fonts, and there are some fonts here that are available to you. Keep in mind, if you're designing with negative text, and if you're not sure what negative text is, that is the text that is cutting out of the sign. So for example, this image right here, I'm just going to click a random font here. This is not negative text. This is just text that's going to go into
positive text
section here. Yes, correct. Positive text. But if you're using a sign that's mostly metal and you're wanting the text to cut out of the actual metal section of the sign, that is called negative text. And when you're doing negative text, it's very important. Two things. Again, this is in the article here. And if you go to the top, you can actually click on adding text personalization to your sign. It's going to take you directly to that section. And it tells you right here, positive text, what it is, and negative text. And negative text needs to be in white. So if you were doing negative text, you would simply highlight this here and you would change the color to white, which is also going to allow you to see that negative text on your design. So just keep that in mind. And you're going to want to make sure that you're also using a stencil text anytime you're using negative text, because you'll have floating elements that are going to disappear. For example, O's and A's, that whole middle section is going to cut out if you're not using stencil text that connects those elements in the design. So for this example, we're doing positive text. So I'm going to resize this section of where I want the text. So let's say I want it to end where the M's start and end. And then I'm going to go up here and I'm going to format it to be centered. And let's just, for example, in this one, I'm going to say name one. This is a cool font because it does a heart anytime you hit the space button. So I really like that for this type of design. And you're going to resize it. I'm just going to start with 80 and see how that looks. So there's a couple different ways that you can adjust the placement. You can just simply click it. Again, I would align center just to make sure it's centered, and you can drag it to where it should be. or you can also go up to dimensions and you can adjust that way. So if you just adjust by one number, it's going to slightly move it. I'm going to go ahead and increase the font on this because it's very important that this is overlapping. So if you zoom in here, you can see you want to make sure that this is touching. I might even just bump it up one more just to make sure, because you want to make sure that there's no gap between the letters so you don't have any issues with production. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom back out here. Click that again, just double check, make sure that it's centered. Okay, looks great. And you can also, when you come up into your layers, you can rename the layers. So for example, this one could be names for the text. The image could be mom. And you can also, and I'm not going to spend time on this today. If you have questions, let me know. You can add additional layers in here and group them. So for example, for this sign, if you wanted to have the customer have the option to choose 1 name, 2 name, 3 name, you can create multiple text layers, design it accordingly, and then you can select the layer and group it. And that's going to throw those together into one section. And then that way they will have the option to choose one of those options. You can do the same thing with images. For example, if you're doing a dog sign and you're making it breed specific and you want to have German Shepherd, Great Dane, Lab, multiple different designs, you can use the same functionality there where you're importing multiple images, selecting them, grouping them, and then naming them accordingly. So I hope that all makes sense. Also very important, validation. So for the text layer, you want to make sure that you go up to this section here and click validate. Be mindful of the maximum count of text for that to make sure that it fits. Wrapping for this one, it's 1 line. We don't want wrapping, so make sure that that says none. I would prefer this to be uppercase, so I would leave that as uppercase. But you can have different validations in here, so make sure that you're checking that and making sure that that is also centered properly as well. Once you're done, your design looks good, go ahead and click save. That's going to pull up this preview. And for this example, you could put in a few different names, or you could do it the same as the example there. So let's just say we're going to do 2 different names, Layla and Chase. That's what your preview image is going to look like for this product. So I like that. Looks great. I'm going to go ahead and click save. That's going to go ahead and create preview images for each of the different variant options. So you can see it's going through the different colors. We have the silver, gold, black. It's going to get to white here. We have the bronze. Okay. So once that's saved, at this point, this is going to take you, if you click on add new scene, that's going to take you to the mockup generator. If you're not interested in that, you can go ahead and click continue details and you can import that to your store. I'm going to go ahead and pull this up. So for the mockup generator, you have the option to either create new. So you can go to Pixels, for example, and you can, through there, you can download free images that you have the copyright to. You can also use Envato, that is a paid software. So there's different options for that. You can also use Canva. Canva Pro has amazing images that you can use that you have the copyright to as well. That's it's free with whatever's available in the free option, and it's of course free for all the additional images that the Pro lets you have, and it's only like $12.99 a month. So Canva Pro is great. So if you're importing your own image, you can create new. You can also use existing ones that are in here. There's some that I've imported previously. So let's just, for example, select that one, save and continue. It's going to import it there. Actually, I should have gone ahead and walked you through it. When you're in the, let me see if I have one saved. I'll have to come back to this and have an image ready to import for you. But it's similar to the Design Studio where you're able to import the image, and then you're also able to resize and center, like place your design in that mock-up image as well. You can also adjust the drop shadow for the image. But since I've selected this one, and you can select multiple, this is automatically going to import with my product. So I'm just going to go ahead and go to continue to details from here. You're going to want to title your product. So, you know, you could say mom sign with names, whatever you want to do it. This is the description. If you haven't used ChatGPT, I think at this point, everybody uses ChatGPT or at least knows what ChatGPT is. I find it super, super helpful. You can take this information and copy it into ChatGPT and give ChatGPT a description of the design that you've just created and say that you're creating a description for your Shopify store. Please write a description for this product, and it will, most of the time, the description is great. You definitely want to read through it, edit it if you have any adjustments, but that's a great way to adjust your description here. And then below that is all of your different variants for this product. It's going to show you, for example, the different colors and sizes and cost. From here, you have the option to toggle those different variants off if you would like to. And then you're going to go ahead and click publish. And if you're not already using the global pricing rules, I highly suggest setting those up. That's going to control the pricing of your products. To do that, you just go to settings and then go to global pricing rules here. And there's instructions in the My Easy Monogram articles for that as well. So if you're, for example, having a certain markup on every product, it's going to automatically apply that markup based on the cost for the My Easy Monogram cost for the product and what your markup is. And it can also apply the compare at values in there as well. And there's advanced global pricing rules that you can utilize for different price points. For example, if you want to have a different markup or compare at price for products that are under $100 and then a different range for products over $100, you can also do that as well. So when you come back over to your
Hey,
shop,
Michelle, real quick. Everybody make sure your mics are muted. I'm hearing somebody's TV in the background.
yeah, sorry, I didn't want to waste time trying to figure out how to mute everybody.
Yeah, it's all right. Hey, Bonnie, mute your mic, please. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to refresh this so I can show you guys the product now. And I'm going to just really quickly look at the chat. I see there's some questions in here. How to warp font for designs. Jenny, if you can just explain what you mean by warp font. I'm not exactly sure what that means. How do you measure 1-inch font? Example this size. Okay, so to make sure that your, and I'll have to do a separate video on this, to make sure that your designs are sized properly. That is something that is done when you're creating your design. For example, in Adobe Illustrator, some people prefer Adobe or Photoshop. Photoshop is more of an advanced program. Illustrator, I find to be a lot easier to use. But for example, if you're in Adobe Illustrator, when you're creating your artboard, you can actually adjust your sizes, or you can see exactly what the sizes are in different elements of your image. So we'll have to do another video on that for you, Jenny. That's a great question. Oh, I see Brad's kind of answering there. Oh, and Jenny also said, I have round designs and fonts that go around it. So, I hope Brad's not going to be mad at me here. I don't think he will. There's some really exciting things that the dev team is working on right now that are coming out here probably this week. And one of those things is going to be the curved text. So Keep an eye out for that, Jenny. That should be available here very soon. So you'll be able to create those monograms that have that curved text with that new functionality in the design studio. Christopher said in the design mockup, it has been creating a white box. Is there something I'm doing wrong? Or is this a general thing that happens? I think what you might be referring to is there was a box around images previously. The dev team did fix that. So if it's on an existing design that you have, go back into that design, click edit, and then resave it. You could just make like a minor adjustment, move it around or resize something, and it'll let you resave it. And then that should fix the problem. That has been resolved, if that's what you're referring to. Okay, awesome. Yeah, hope that fixes your issue there. So once you've created your product in My Easy Monogram, come back over to your Shopify and you'll be able to see that the design is now here. You can make adjustments from here as well. But these majority of everything that you can do in Shopify, you can do from the My Easy Monogram app, so you're not having to mess with it when it comes in here. One thing I will note is to be sure that if you're using the old My Easy Monogram script, make sure that you're going, and I'm going to go ahead and show you. And you can do this from, actually, I'm just going to go ahead and pull it right up from the My Easy Monogram app. When you're in the My Easy Monogram app and you click the message button where you can reach out to support, if you come over to the help, these are all of the articles that are available in My Easy Monogram. If you go to getting started, for example, installing live preview embed to Shopify, this is going to walk you through how to make sure that you're on the new script. So you need to uninstall the old script and you need to make sure that you're utilizing the new script. In this video at the very top, Brad walks you through step by step exactly what to do to install that new My Easy Monogram embed. And there's also super exciting things coming with that too, which I believe are going to be available this week. And then there's one other thing I was going to point out with that, and I totally lost my train of thought. It'll come to me. I can't remember. It'll come to me. Oh, that's what I was going to get to. So, okay. So the other thing is that's super cool. Again, in getting started under, I believe it's creating and importing products. Let's see. There's a really cool link that walks you through how to do the templates. Brad, if you're on, do you remember which one that is?
What's your question?
The Shopify templates for setting up. Is that, I thought that was adding and importing products.
I don't know. I would just do it live.
Yeah, I'm trying to find it here.
No, I'm saying I would just do the template now and you can send it in the comment later.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll have to find it later. But there's a really cool link that actually walks you through how to create the templates, because when you're importing products to your store, you want to make sure that you're creating the correct template for it. And that when you're in Shopify, you can choose from here that template. So if you go into your Shopify and go to online store, click customize. And then you have your app embeds on the side. Oh, I need to go up to this one. Hold on. So now you have this embed that's here for your products. And like I said, there's going to be some really cool stuff coming with this soon. But this is where you're going to be adding the embed. So that's allowing your customers to make the preview or to click the button and get the preview of their product. It's just really important that you're selecting the right template for those products. And again, I'm just going to show you again because this is really important. Under theme template here, you're going to want to make sure that you choose that template. And this is really bothering me. I want to know because there's a really great article on this.
When we find the article, we'll link it in the comment section for the post.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we'll link it in here, but definitely follow that because it walks you through exactly how to create the templates and reassign them to the product. So let's see if I have any other questions here. What is your AOV today? The last time I checked my AOV, it was 237 today. Of course, this it goes up and down. My average AOV in general is like between 140 and 160. Today's just been a great day. AOV is average order value. So the average order that people are coming in and placing. So the average order value for my orders today, like I said, this was the last time I checked, it was $237 for the average order cost. If that makes sense. All right, so will you have any branding options in the future? Christopher, what do you mean by branding options?
Yeah, we'll have some branding options like package insert and things of that nature.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Thank you cards, mail inserts. We're even looking at technologies for printing on the box, or to have some sort of branding on the box. But these are all, we have to invest a lot in specific technologies to make that happen. And the dev team's been very wrapped up in just making the platform itself as good as it can be. So they are on the books, but most likely on the books for next year.
And I'm going to go ahead and I actually found it, so I'm going to show you really quickly. When you're in the installing live preview embed to Shopify article, if you click on Shopify creating product theme template, this is the section that walks you through how to set up your themes in Shopify. So you can actually set up different themes for the MyZ Monogram products that are using the MyZ Monogram embed for the preview. So that's how you can do that there. And I know Brad also did a really great video on this as well. If you're in the Facebook featured videos, it's one of the videos he released, I think a couple months back, where he also walks you step by step through this as well. Somebody said, oh, that's Brad saying the different stencil. Yeah, and just so you're aware, you can also import your own fonts as well. So if you go over to the design studio and go to upload your own fonts, this also walks you through the instructions on how to import your own fonts as well. So that is another option for you too.
You just have to be careful on stencil fonts. They like to connect with these very Stencilla A. I'm not sure what that font. There's millions of fonts in the world. I'm not sure what that one is off the top of my head. But pull these fonts into Illustrator or Canva and type out some characters and see the part that connects, like Michelle was talking about, the O. If you do a negative O, then the inside circle would fall out if it's not connected with a stencil type font. The connection is called a bridge. So that's a bridged font. Stencil fonts are bridged fonts. If that bridge is thinner than 2 millimeters, it likely will melt. And that's a physics thing. It's not a lack of expensive equipment thing. So definitely be sure when you're doing stencil fonts are so much more likely to be problematic. You can do, I mean, I'm not advising people to do half-inch positive fonts, but positive fonts are just typically more sturdy than stencil fonts. So you can get away with a lot more. I personally advise people to stay towards positive fonts more than negative fonts.
Yeah, and this image right here, if you're not familiar with what negative text is, this image right here is an example of negative font. So you can see the stencil font, it has those little connectors that's keeping the font from falling out and making it more sturdy. But like Brad was saying, this section right here, so Tucker, that's great. That's great size. See me rolling, that's about the smallest we would want to see text in a negative font to avoid the issues.
Yeah, and the only reason, because I've had people say that looks like it's smaller than an inch. I've been designing this stuff since 2016, and I know that font. I know what that font does on a 12-inch sign. You guys are welcome to design and test anything that you want to, but if you don't adhere to the guidelines set forward in the articles and your designs blow out, which is what I call it when it melts, that's not our responsibility to fix if you're not adhering to the guidelines. So our recommendation has always been and always will be, test some things and order it yourself and see what the difference is. You can literally make a sign where you're ordering just a big square with negative font that's 90 pixels, 80 pixels, 70 pixels, 60 pixels, 50 pixels, and just see where it blows out. You can order that directly from us for your own reference for your own fonts if you need to.
Yeah, and also when you're uploading your designs into the design studio, again, the instructions are in the articles, so just make sure that you're referencing that. It's the custom steel wall decor. But they're going to resize appropriately. So as long as you're designing them, the suggestion is 1000 by 1000 for your artboard, 1000 by 1000 pixel for your artboard, with the 300 DPI resolution, which is going to be standard when you're creating a 1000 by 1000 pixel artboard. But as long as you're making sure that everything measures out appropriately, it's going to resize your image according to the variant. So you don't have to worry about that. As long as you're making sure to size it appropriately on that artboard and you're measuring it before, while you're creating your design before you upload it, my Z monogram is going to adjust based on whatever variant it is, whether it's a 12-inch sign or a 36-inch sign. Yeah, Jen, you don't need to upload a background image when you're creating a design. When you get to the Mockup studio, you do have the option to import your own background, or you can use the backgrounds that are provided. I know that was an old functionality in the original design studio where it wanted you to upload a background image, but that's no longer there. And as far as measuring, yes, you can measure in Photoshop, Illustrator, different programs like that.
Yeah, so she's asked, Jen asked me to repeat the test piece thing. So if you're curious of what will work and what won't work, as far as you're wanting to use this new stencil font or you're wanting to use this new positive font, if you're wanting to figure out how those things are going to cut for different sizes, then I would advise uploading just a square and putting that negative font at different sizes. You can cut that font out 20 different font sizes of one sheet if you can fit it and if you want to. With a random string, Brad and Michelle or whatever you type in, we'll cut that and we'll send that to you. Obviously you order it, you upload it to your website, you order it like you're a customer, it goes through the same order process, but then you're going to have it in your hands to know, oh, okay, when I did this font at 50 pixels tall, the font size 50 pixels, it blew out. It didn't look good. It was melting. But when I did it at 75 pixels, oh, that one looked really crisp, really clean. I need to do everything for this font at this font size. It's important that you do test those things if you feel like you need to, because if not, your customer is going to get it, and if it's blown out with them, they're pissed off, and you have to handle a remake, and it's not our responsibility to fix it. If we've had people that literally submitted a design where they had negative text that the font size was 3/8 of an inch tall. That is smaller than my pinky nail, and they wanted us to cut that out. I'm like, that's just impossible. That's not something that can physically be done. So I advise you either follow the design studio articles to a T, or you test your own samples. You buy your own samples and understand what it's actually going to look like.
Yeah, and someone just had a question, just to clarify, Camila, what Brad is saying is if you want to order a sample for testing out different font sizes other than what is suggested in the articles by My Easy Monogram, is to just create a sign that's literally just, for example, test, whatever word you're going to use. I would suggest using different letters of the alphabet to see what it's going to look like. But he's saying to do different sizes. So start at the top with your smallest and then work your way down to different sizes. So it's all on one. So you're not having to order multiple different samples. You can have it all in one sample.
Yep. And somebody asked, what size do you order for the sample? If you order the 12-inch, whatever works on the 12-inch will work for the 30-inch or the 24-inch, because it's getting larger. So if it works, the bridge, the connector that we were talking about before on a stencil font, let's say it's 0.08 inches wide on a 12-inch. When you bump that up to the 15-inch, it's 0.1. It's getting larger because the whole design is scaling up. So
Yeah,
if it cuts out well on a 12-inch, you're fine.
Yeah, so essentially what he's saying is order it on the smallest sign, because if you're offering a 12-inch sign, that's the one that's going to have the problem. So order it on the smallest sign to make sure that there's no issues regardless of what size the customer is ordering.
Yeah, things melt when they're too small. So if it works on the smallest size that we offer, then scaling up from there is no problem.
Yeah, and
but don't push the limits either. If it looks like it's like, ooh, that's a hairline, like when you receive that sample and it's like, oh, it worked, but it's like as thick as your hair, that's, is that going to be repeatable? Probably not. You probably need to go just find the safest option that you have, because everybody thinks that it has to be a certain way. Like, oh, if I can't have this like teeny tiny font, then the customer's not going to buy it. And that is just not true. Michelle, the 99.9% of everything Michelle sells is in the free designs that are available for everybody. So I would really use the designs that are currently in MEM as inspiration of what to do and what not to do. There's so many different variations of things that you can probably find similar inspiration in the designs that are already out there.
Yeah, and I'm gonna, I see there's another question, but real quick, I'm just gonna know, I'm gonna get ready to sign off here shortly. If anyone has any additional questions, go ahead and throw them in the chat now. And I'll go through the questions, and then once we're done here, I'm gonna have Brad, if he is available, for a few more minutes just to go over anything he wants to touch on, whether it be updates or production time, things like that. So real quick, I have a question. What would 2 millimeter be in pixel, or what do you recommend for the bridges? That would be a Brad question, but I can tell you in the articles under the design studio.
When we say, so this is you don't have to, when you're starting a artboard in Canvas, or I'm sorry, in Canva or in Photoshop or Illustrator, you don't have to set the artboard to pixels. You can set the artboard to inches, and that'll show you, like, if you make a little circle at 0.08 inches, which is 2 millimeters. You could also set it to millimeters if you want to, but you can make that artboard 12 pixels, or I'm sorry, 12 inches in width and height if you want to, and then make your design in that. You don't have to upload something that's 1,000 by 1,000 pixels. 12 by 12 inches is fine. I think 1,000 pixels translates to roughly 3 inches, more or less. So anything north of 3 inches of an artboard is fine. I would just go ahead and set your artboard to 12 inches. So that way you have like just a clear cut, like, hey, is this thing, the proper size, and go from there.
Awesome. Well, Brad, is there anything you want to go over as far as like production times, where I know we're coming up on Q4, any new exciting updates you want to share?
Well, we do have a lot of new and exciting updates coming next week, of which I will share when it launches, because I've learned if I talk about it too soon and it doesn't happen on the exact day, I get a lot of people mad at me. So we've got a really big software release. It's the biggest one since we launched this new design studio about 2.5 months ago. And that'll be hitting next week. Our production time, our manufacturer has been really awesome. I think most people are seeing 1 to 2 days production time. A year ago with our old manufacturer, we were looking at 7 to 10 business days, and now we're looking at 1 to 2 business days. So we've definitely seen a lot of positive impact, across everybody's store. A lot of sellers who are with us since last year, their sales are much more consistent, and their return customer rate's been much higher. Obviously, people are happier with the quality, the thicker steel that we're doing now. So a lot of really positive things coming into this Q4. Last Q4, our cutoff, I think, ended up being close to December 8th or something like that. At this rate, we're looking at being able to hold that lead time or push it back even further. We'll be able to determine that as we get closer to that date. We've spent a lot of money on the manufacturing software that is helping organize the shop and helping push these items through. So I believe that's going to help our production capacity and help our rate of the amount of products going out the door should increase pretty decently. We're expecting about 40%. So yeah, it's an exciting Q4. We've got a lot of features in the pipeline to still launch before Q4 hits. So if I'm pretty silent, just know that's because I've got my head down working hard to make these features a reality for you all.
Yeah, Brad's always always working hard with the dev team. And I can personally attest to the amount of positive reviews I've had. I mean, there's days where I just get dozens of 5-star reviews, and I would say we probably at minimum on any given day get at least 1 5-star review. And most of the time it's people sharing photos of their product. They're so happy to share it and commenting on the customer service and the quickness that they're getting their signs. They're shocked at how quickly they're getting their orders. So I can, like I said, I can personally attest to how quickly our signs have been going out. Usually it's within 1 to 2, maybe 3 days, depending on the day of the week. But most of them are within 1 to 2 days that they're actually going
you-
out the door.
Yeah, you've got people. I've personally seen some reviews on your website where people have ordered it on Monday and received their product on Wednesday or Thursday.
Yeah, and then they're coming back and ordering another one as a gift for somebody else because they're so impressed.
Yeah.
And I will say another comment that I've seen a lot on our reviews is the quality with the new 16 gauge steel. The customers are very impressed with the thickness and the quality of the signs
And the quality of packaging.
and the packaging. Yeah, my damage rate, I mean, it's almost non-existent at this point. I rarely get any damage signs. And if it is a damage sign, 9 times out of 10, this like almost never happens. So I can't even say 9 times out of 10 because I don't even think I've had 10, but it's because you can just see that the shipping has just destroyed the box. Like they had to have like stomped on it or smashed it with a forklift or something.
Yeah, they drug it behind the truck instead of putting it in the truck.
Yeah. Yeah. So no, it's been great. But Brad, there's a question in here for you. It looks like, are you shipping to Canada?
Oh, so we don't support it. We don't technically support shipping to Canada. There's one seller. Well, if you do get a order for Canada, we're still gonna ship it out the door. We're gonna bill you the excess charge, which is normally, approximately $20 extra. But shipping to Canada, there's this like tariffs and paperwork that has to be filed. There's big pain in the butt. We had one seller who their customer was trying to get their sign, and this was just like 2 months ago, but was trying to get that sign for literally a month, like was just going back and forth with the carrier, having a terrible time. And so we were like, I'm sorry, but I don't know what you want us to do about this. Like that's because the person at first didn't want to pay the tariffs at the door. So like when UPS shows up, you have to pay however much the taxes are. And in Canada, because they're socialists or whatever, like their taxes are like 60%. And that person was going to have to pay like $70 out of pocket, cash on delivery. It's just, yeah, not super fun. But so because of that, we don't officially support it. But if you get a one-off order in Canada, we want you to have a thriving business, so we will work with you in those regards. I hate to turn down anybody who gets a sale, especially because a lot of these people, it's like, in their first 20-30 sales and they're really excited, and I hate to pop that balloon. So because of my guilt, we do work with those situations.
Awesome. Well, if there's nothing else, I'm going to go ahead and get off here. I hope everyone has a great Saturday. If there's any other questions, just as a reminder, you can always access the MyZ Monogram support. If you just simply go into your support app, you can come in here and then send a message, and support can help you. Again, Help Center, I did put the link in the chat, but you also have this option here, the Help Center from your MyZ Monogram that has all of the articles to help you. So if you have any questions, definitely reach out. But again,
Hey, real quick, I want to mention, thank you for everybody who is showing up to these things. Our support team genuinely wants to help everybody, but the people who show up to these calls, when the support team comes up to me and says, "Hey, Jen," or "Hey, Chris," my mind perks up so much more when I know that you guys are taking time on a Saturday to come and learn and listen. It makes me personally want to help you out so much more. So thank you all for doing it. I promise, the more invested you are in learning my software, the more invested I am to helping you grow. So keep at it. And again, thank you very much for showing up.
yes, and thank you for everything, Brad. If anyone has any other questions, go ahead and feel free to. You can throw it in the Facebook group, under the invite, the comments. But I hope everyone has a great rest of their weekend. Bye.
Bye.